Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go 3 abreast. It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You got them for a rep. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again, it is Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. Talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week, and we are so glad that you have joined us. Steve Post and my long-lost friend, Erin Evernham. How are you?
It actually
well, we had
has
2
been
weeks.
a few weeks.
Yeah,
yes.
because you were off last week, so Ashley was here. And 2 weeks ago, we had Girls' Night here at the old
well,
Wing
we wanted
Nation.
to get Ashley some,
some reps. Get her some seat time, yeah.
I mean, she's only like Miss Pennsylvania, Mrs.
I
Pennsylvania
know. How about
now.
that? Oh, man, I forgot. I'm glad you mentioned
Oh.
that. I've got a favor Ashley sent me a note on, and
Oh.
I haven't done it. Yes, exactly. So, anyhow. So, yeah. So, how are you? How's things?
Good. Busy living the horse life, different kind of horsepower, but that's my life right now with Kate. But all is well.
Good.
Just a little
Good
hot
deal.
down here, though. A little hot.
Oh, my gosh. This is brutal. I don't know how. I've been following along with this. Like, we're in the middle of all these speed weeks and everything. I don't know how these teams are doing this.
Yeah.
I actually watched a video because Kenny Wallace did a bunch of races with his modified, and they did the finish the race, service the car, go to the car wash, service the
Do it
car,
all
and at 3 a.m. go to bed, and then sleep during the
Sleep in,
day.
yeah.
And I'm sure the teams do that a lot. So crazy stuff. It really, truly is. Let's get right in. Oh, we got a great program. Seth Bergman is going to join us. I've wanted to have Seth on for the last month or so, just to see what is going on with the ASCS.
Yeah.
And so it'll be good. He's their point leader.
Yeah,
he's
he's
doing
won a
good.
bunch of races, yeah.
He's doing good, and we'll see if they're doing good. And then Brad Doty is going to join us. We're going to just talk kind of big picture stuff. We're about the midway through the season, just kind of get his thoughts. Catch up time with Brad Doty, that's for sure. So let's get into the hot topics, though. When we look at it, Skagit Speedway, NARC King of the Rest, the Jim Raper Memorial Dirt Cup. This thing has obviously exploded with, Steve Butler did a great job at Skagit Speedway.
Yes, he did.
But then there's the infusion of Kevin Rudine and money, and
Yes.
which is that's the
Helps
one thing.
everything.
That's the one thing. Steve Butler had a passion, and he ran a really good business there. Kevin Rudine has a passion, runs a really good business there, and has some money behind him.
Yes.
So
always helps.
Yes, it really does. Thursday night, Zeb Wise, career first NARC win. Friday night, it was Dominic Gordon. Aaron, a 18-year-old racer, got his first 410 win.
He sure did. I mean, we talk about the West Coast talent a lot, but between obviously the Saturday night winner.
Well, there we go. Yes, who won Saturday night, Aaron?
I saw, what do we call him, Corey Payday?
Payday.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
Corey,
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a race.
Yeah, $62,000 was the winner's purse.
Yeah. But laps led, he got $79,600.
Holy cow.
And I think when they added up from the whole weekend, it was something like $88,000 he won.
$88,000.
I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah. That was the second highest paying race of the weekend, too. Now the one got rained out at Houston's, which is terrible.
Let's not even talk about Houston's yet.
Yeah. But his dad, Ronnie, won the Dirt Cup in 2000, so they became the first father-son combo deal. And 16th career NARCA win for Corey Day, 6th overall of the season. Corey Day, Zeb Wise, and Cole Macedo. All right. I love what happened at Port Royal Saturday night. Now,
how neat was that?
We had a little birdie that kind of chirped in our ear that said that this might happen. But, Aaron, can you imagine being at a driver's meeting for a $5,000 to win race and when Sandy Klein grabbed the microphone?
That's, I can't and say, okay, we're bumping it up to $22,000 to win. And that surprise. And I like how they did it. It's kind of for the Pennsylvania people. It wasn't something they advertised to get more people to come. It was for the local racers, and I love that.
Yep, absolutely. And they've been, of course, Jim and Sandy. We lost Jim during the off season here. Sandy, longtime supporters. And then people started, well, Macri showed up. Well, there's also a long-term partnership there.
Yeah.
It was a J&S, a car, a classic car. Anthony
that
Macri,
Birdie might have told him to.
Well, might have told him. And the other problem is you got Anthony Macri sitting there at Huset's. Huset's impacted all of these.
Yeah, it did.
Because Macri was in Huset's.
Yep.
Yeah, no, when we talk about the Maverick IRA, Sunshine was there at Huset's. So the bottom line of it is when Huset's went upside down or underwater,
literally,
that changed everything. But we had guys barnstorming all over the country.
Which was really neat.
Which was really neat. Who's going where? Who's on first? Anthony Macri, great battle with Brent Marks. Macri, 9th win of the season. Man, I'm telling you what, I'm telling you, I am a quarter-mile bull ring guy, and that darn Port Royal just kind of takes everything I ever believed about half miles and puts them right out the window.
It really does.
They race that joint like no place in the country.
It produces such great racing.
Really does. And so Macri gets the win. Brent Marks second. Chase Dietz third. Again, Macri, Anthony talked. Jeremy did a video with him, or someone did a video with him, and Anthony Macri talked about being a 5-year-old kid and knowing Jim and Sandy Klein.
Oh, that's neat.
So I think that's really, really cool. So kudos to Anthony Macri. We have this Maverick Mayhem week. This one kind of snuck up on everybody, but with the way the scheduling and the rain happened at Houston's again, the Maverick Sprint Tour is an Indiana-based tour. I think they've got 10 or 12 races. They partnered up with our buddy Steve Sinclair.
Yep.
With the IRA Bumper to Bumper Sprints. Okay, they partnered up with them, and they did this 4-race tour: Lincoln Park, Bloomington, Tri-State, Terre Haute Action Track. Okay, you knew you were going to get a fair number of cars, but when then Huset's went upside down,
they benefited.
55, 47, 51, and 37. Emerson Axum picked up his career first 410 win on Thursday night at Lincoln Park, which is Putnamville.
Yep.
Jacob Allen, which that was a weird one. I don't even know where Jacob.
I almost
still don't know what.
I'm not even sure if he was going to Houston. It's based off of,
no
social
idea.
media, but who knows?
He won on Friday night, and then Tyler Courtney was in Houston because he won Houston's on Wednesday night. Tyler Courtney. The Sunday night win at Terre Haute was a spectacular pass. Wyndham and
that's a Sports Center highlight right there.
We're battling, and all of a sudden it was just like jet propulsion around the outside.
Did you see Noah Gass's? He tweeted about it, or X, whatever they call it these days, what the kids are calling it. But it was like, you never like to be passed, but this was one of the neatest things I've seen out of my car.
Really
that
cool.
Was cool.
And Emerson Axum was the weekly champion of this thing. So really cool. And again, you have the Huset's washout, some more cars. I'm curious, and you'll never know, but it was all on Flow Racing. You wonder how many eyeballs were there, because it became, with Port Royal, it became the de facto big race. And of course you had Skagit. The challenge with Skagit is it's West Coast. Yeah. So I don't know. It was good stuff. World of Outlaw, NOS Energy Drink, sprint cars, and of course we talked about this. Aaron, this was just sad to watch.
Yeah. I mean, those poor people that lost their motorhomes and had to be rescued, it was just awful. Thoughts and prayers to all.
There was 10 years ago this happened.
Yep.
10 years ago this happened, and it was just, and then you see certain people. Scott Boguski was showing some video. Yeah. Gravel was showing some video just of rescue efforts and everything else, and it's just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. It just got awful. So we're, it's, for Todd and for Doug up there, for everybody involved, for all the people that had motor coaches up to the axles in water and up to the floors in waters. Yeah. Oh my gosh, just terrible. That's for sure. Other winners, we had a couple sweeps. Logan McCandless picked up the sweep of the Ohio Valley Sprint Car Association races Friday night at Ohio Valley, Saturday night at Beckley. Mark Dobmeyer, our buddy.
Shocker.
Yes.
Won at River Cities.
I know, exactly.
Can't
Knows the
believe it.
weekend. And Jordan Mallett with a last lap pass picked up the first win in the ASCS National Tour at Batesville, Arkansas. Mention ASCS National Tour. We're going to talk some ASCS. Seth Bergman joins us next here on Wing Nation.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long. You can compare apples to apples.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Let's go to the Sage Fruit hotline. Seth Bergman joins us here, and kind of want to give those that may not be familiar with the story. ASCS, of course, for years and years. Emmett Hahn's National Tour, 360 sprint car racing. Terry Maddox comes in, runs it a few years. Things kind of go off the rails a little bit. A lot of questions during the offseason. World Racing Group comes in, take it over. Little stability there, and we see some familiar names and faces returning to the ASCS National Tour and running at the front of the field. I mentioned Seth Bergman, one of them, the point leader here, and Seth joins us on the Sage Fruit Hotline. Hello, Seth. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How you guys doing?
We are well. We want to talk a lot about your season, Seth, but this whole ASCS reboot that we have here this year, what's your take on it all as you're rolling through this season?
I mean, good. As far as, I mean, everything. I don't have anything bad to say at all. I mean, it's been a great season on a lot of different fronts. As far as what World Racing Group is doing, our shows have been great. We've had good crowds. I think Dirt Vision's awesome. It seems like they've really given the series new life. And as far as racing goes for us on our end, it's really good. I mean, it can't be a whole lot better right now. We've been winning a lot and being very consistent, and we got a pretty good points lead. So, yeah, I mean, everything's kind of just smooth and just plugging right away.
Seth, how important is it to have that stability now with the World Racing Group? There was some unknowns last year. What was going to happen to ASCS? You have the World Racing Group, who obviously has the World of Outlaws, has the World of Outlaw late models, owns a bunch of racetracks. Just to know that there is stability with 360 National Series, and in your mind, how important is it to have a national series for the 360s as part of the whole, what do you want to call it, the ecosystem of sprint car racing?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have. I feel like we're involved with a series now that I feel like is going to be around for a long time. Not that ASCS, I mean, obviously it's been around for a really long time, but I feel like in the last, handful of years, there's been a lot of uncertainty around the future of it. Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of question for me as a driver and as a team owner here with the 360 of kind of, the direction all this is going to go. But, having a group like World Racing Group now, it's nice to have that, that platform, that stable platform, I feel like. And I feel like the direction of it is, headed in a great direction. And yeah, really just nothing but good, honestly.
Yeah, man, that's great to hear. That really, truly is. All right, let's talk a little bit about your season, because it seemed like you were good, great. It seems like you've started the season well, but it seems like you have found another gear over the last month or 3 or 4 weeks. What's it been like? What have you found? How are things going with your team?
Good. I mean, as far as our season's going, I mean, yeah, we've been really good. But I'm not really doing anything different than I've ever done or always do. I think I'm just, the longer I spend with the sport and I get more experience and I have a little more, I don't know what you want to call it, wisdom and insight going into these races on whatever it is has been working. I'm big. I make sure our race cars are prepared and ready to go long before we get there in the shop, and, really go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and then just make sure we show up ready and then put our best foot forward, and kind of whatever happens from there happens. And I feel like now at this point in my career, racing for a championship, I feel like there's nights where I know that we're good enough to win and I'm going to go push to get it, but I'm also going to tiptoe around the line of trying not to put myself in a bad spot to where it's going to result in a DNF. I found myself now a lot more aware of just hey, there's a chance we could win tonight and I'm going to push to get it, or just realizing that tonight I'm just going to be a 3rd or 4th place car and that's what it's going to be. And I'm not going to put myself in a, sketch situation and maybe end up with a DNF here. So I think that's had a lot to do with it. We've been consistent. We've won quite a few races. We've been on the podium. We've been on the podium every night, except for 2 nights this year. So we've been off to a really good start.
You sure have. Seth, I want to talk about the competition level of the ASCS. It's always been strong, but like we talked about, there was a little uncertainty. The announcement, I don't think, was until March 1st that the World Racing Group was taking it over. But when you look at these races, I mean, the competition is still very stiff. I see Sam Haverteef, I see Matt Covington, to just name a few. I mean, the competition level is pretty stout.
Yeah, it's not easy to win these races. I don't know what the public's opinion is or what other racers' opinions are. I think we get held to 410 level a lot, and then you have a lot of recognizable names there. But if you pay attention to what's going on in 360 racing, I mean, like I said, it is not easy to win these races. And there's a handful of guys here with a lot of experience, a lot of years, a lot of wins, good teams. And then you have, not only do you have experience, but, you have a handful of young guys too that are eager to win, and they drive hard, and they bring good teams. So, and then our format too, you got to qualify well, and we run dashes now, and there's a lot of hurdles you got to overcome throughout the night to even get yourself in position. And then once you're in position, it's no cakewalk. Like I said, you're racing against a lot of experience at times, and so yeah, it's challenging for sure. And I know every race that I've won this year with the American Sprint Car Series has been challenging.
What's the evolution been like for you as qualifying in dashes? Because it used to be ASCS was passing points, draw passing points, that sort of thing. How has that game changed for you and your effort and energy into that?
It's good. I really like it. For a lot of years with ASCS, when I was running, it was a draw format, but I didn't really have too much of an opinion back then. I was young, and I was just trying to be out here and be a part of it. So really, I didn't get too far out of myself and think I knew more than I did. But now, being around for a while, and I like the qualifying because for me, I feel like it puts you where you belong, and I feel like it rewards you for your hard work. Like I said earlier, I'm big on winning races in the shop. So, working on cars here and showing up to the racetrack with speed, and then being able to qualify and have the clock reflect that is good. And then not only that, it puts you where you need to be. And if you're fast, you're going to be in a good spot. And then not only with this format, if you're quick time or you're qualifying well, it's putting you in a good position. But then the way it is, I mean, you still have to race for it. So I really like the format. I like being rewarded for being fast, but then I also like still having to go and race for it to line you up for the rest of the night. So, qualifying is good. I think qualifying, especially for a group that's, a national touring series where, there's quite a few serious racers here. I think it's a proper way to run the show.
Seth, did you have to change your program at all to really focus on that qualifying, knowing that that's the new format and how important that qualifying is?
Little things, yes. I try not to get too crazy because it's just me and one other guy. So you kind of, try to keep things as simple as possible because, what's cool about American Sprint Car Series now is we're really trying to run an efficient show. So between hot laps and qualifying, we don't have a lot of time to sit there and work. And with two guys, I can't be much of a help. I got to get in the car and make sure we're on track for a spot. And then you can't ask for too much out of the one guy you got other than get you up there. So like I said, I try not to overcomplicate it, but I find myself trying to do little things now because we don't have a lot of time to work on the car. When I'm hot lapping, I'm already pretty much in qualifying mode because, like I said, there's not a lot of time there. So I don't know if it's making adjustments for qualifying itself, which we do a little bit, or more so just knowing the format and knowing, we got to get going here. So we got to be a lot closer right off the bat.
Yeah.
Seth, so much I really appreciate what you've said about it because I've watched from afar and I'm like, I think this ASCS thing, I really think this has been really, really cool. It was a national tour. We were going to Washington. We were going to Pennsylvania. It's a national tour in name, although it's somewhat regional. Would you like to see it grow a little bit as far as spreading the wings, or is it pretty good where you're at right now in the middle of the country, just where we're at with it now?
I think it fills a good void, honestly. Yeah. I mean, a national tour sounds great, going from coast to coast and this and that, but it's a grind. It is for sure. The way they have it now, I mean, we still travel quite a bit, but it's kind of based in the Midwest here. And I think from me just looking at it, what it's done is it's allowed the series to have a lot more full-time travelers, because seems like there's a lot of 360 teams in the Midwest that, because we don't go coast to coast and have these big, huge travel weekends all the time, it seems like it's allowed us to have a lot more full-timers. And then a lot of the guys, most of the guys of the American Sprint Car Series have full-time jobs. I think that World Racing Group and everybody involved has done a good job of seeing that and being able to fill that void to where we're racing a lot, but we're home almost every weekend, and we only have a couple big travel weekends throughout the year. But other than that, all of our trips, I know for me here in Tulsa, 5 hours really has been one of the biggest tows we've done, 5 hours one way. And, we go to Montana later in the year and a couple other trips, but it makes it very doable for a lot of teams.
Seth, you mentioned being home in a full-time job. How's the coffee business and how's the family?
It's good. It's keeping me busy. The business is keeping me busy, and the family is too. So, kids are being kids and involved in sports and all that, and our business is busy. And so I can tell you, being able to have a sprint car schedule to where I can come home every weekend really fits my lifestyle. It works out good.
Evergreen Coffee, that's for sure. They're in Oklahoma. You don't have to go far from home this weekend. You're at Tulsa. It is the Dirt Town and T-Town. What did I see, Seth, that what they're doing on the tickets is it's $25 per car to park.
Yeah.
And the admission is free.
Before, and I haven't raced out there and I've done it, or maybe we tried, I don't know. But I remember being there when they did it, I think years past, and they packed the place out doing it. I think it's a great idea. I think it's cool to see track owners or promoters doing something different to try to get people in the stands. And from what I've seen, the group there at Tulsa Speedway, they're creative and they do a good job on promoting and trying to get people there. I think it's going to be a great weekend. Being close to home is nice for us. It's literally like 2 exits down the highway, so we don't have to travel far. I know we got a lot of friends and stuff going, and I think what Tulsa Speedway is doing with $25 a car, I think you're going to see a lot of packed cars rolling in there.
Yeah, I love that idea. I really do, because part of this is getting new people to the racetrack, and that you take 5 or 6 friends and put them all in a car, you can have a pretty affordable night at the track. Seth, it is great to re-catch up with you. Really happy with your performance, happy with what's going on in 360 racing, and can't wait to see how the rest of the year unfolds for you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's always nice talking to you guys.
There we go. Seth Bergman joining us on the Sage Fruit Hotline. Stay with us. When we come back, Brad Doty. We're going to talk all things sprint car with Brad in just a moment.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple. Winning quality in every bite.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Let's go right back to the Sage Fruit Hotline. Joining us, just one of our friends, one of the all-time great ambassadors of sprint car racing. He's done it all. He's enshrined in a new Hall of Fame as well. Brad Doty joins us. Hello, Brad. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. Brad, before we get into all the sprint car talk, this past weekend inducted into the Wayne County Sports Hall of Fame. Man, this is bigger than motorsports here. That had to be really rewarding and really neat for you up there in your local area.
Yeah, I'll admit it was pretty shocking when they called me, and I'm the first racer to be inducted into the Wayne County Sports Hall of Fame, and obviously it's mostly stick and ball sports, and former NFL player Dick Schaffrath's in it, Dean Chance, a Cy Young Award winner, and of course Bobby Knight, the famous or infamous coach. He's in it. So yeah, and the crowd I went in with this weekend, just hearing their accomplishments and everything they've done at the college level, and that what they've done, their career since, and what their occupation is. It was just really a fun night. So very, very honored to be the first racer inducted.
That's really cool. And it's neat to see, like you said, motorsports also associated with all sports. So congratulations, Brad.
Yep.
I don't even know where to start because I mean, I know where we want to go. We want to talk about, okay, we have 2 national tours. I know we talked to you, I think in the beginning of the season on some of your thoughts. Now that we're midway through the season, what's your take so far on the 2 national touring series?
Man, I'm still unsure. I mean, but as Blake Anderson posted, over the weekend, there was something like 111 410 races or some crazy thing, and the highest car count was 50 some with an average of 23. So I don't, there's a lot. It seems like there's enough cars out there to maybe, keep both series going, but and competition's been good in a lot of businesses. So it goes back to, time will tell. The streaming, having Flow as a partner is huge, I think, for them, and they've got a deep, field of talent. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And it goes back to a lot of the fans complaining about the Outlaws tying their drivers up, and I want to make it clear to people that promotes or protects people like me, the promoters. When I'm guaranteed that the platinum drivers are going to be at my show and they're not going to go 20 miles down the road the night before and run a race for a promoter that's going to pay them a little show money and have them there for half of what we have to pay or less than half of what we have to pay to have a big event. That's why it's there. It really helps protect us promoters, and it's great that High Limit doesn't have that their drivers, like this weekend, could just scatter and go wherever they wanted to race. And that's a good thing. But so I can see both sides. There's good and bad on both sides.
For sure.
It really, truly is. It's really fascinating to see who's doing what and who's going where as far as that goes. One of the things, Brad, that I see as a byproduct of this, and I'll mention a couple of names: Bill Baylog, Landon Crawley, Cap Henry, Danny Sams. It does seem like that there's some new guys maybe making some progress where if this thing wasn't split up, we wouldn't be talking nearly as much about them. Is that an accurate assessment? Do you see similar type things?
Absolutely. It's put some guys on a national stage that otherwise might not have been. But me being from Ohio, what it has hurt, with the All-Stars gone, it's definitely hurt here in Ohio to not have the All-Stars, to have, Ohio Speed Week was a great success. They had 50 some cars, and Dietrich came in, but in the past, the All-Star drivers, those top 5 or 6 would come in that now are spread around the country or running High Limit or whatever it might be. But a lot of local teams or teams that otherwise might not have traveled had an opportunity to go out and showcase their talent, like I said, nationwide, be on live streaming and a little more, and obviously that helps with sponsorships and things like that. So again, there is some good that has come from it.
Brad, with your deep roots in Ohio, you mentioned that Ohio Speed Week was really successful, but in the big picture, not having the All-Stars, do you see, obviously there's a need for that space. Do you see something coming in the future there? Do you think that it'll morph and we won't maybe need that All-Star presence that we had? What are your thoughts on the whole missing piece of the All-Stars?
I really don't know. Fast, obviously, was part of the Speed Week, Ohio Speed Week. And then, of course, the Maverick and the IRA this weekend in Indiana had some wing shows that, had some really good car turnouts. So I don't know much about the Maverick series, whether it could grow into or something, a little more like the All-Stars. But I still think there's a need for that stepping stone. Now we have 2, quote, national series, and we don't have a feeder series, to get teams used to traveling, within a 2 or 3 state area of their home base. And I'd like to see something replace that. There was talk about, maybe something happening here in Ohio, starting an Ohio based, but that hurts the 410 weekly tracks. If you start a series here in Ohio, you know, and you lose 4 or 5 or 6 of your top weekly runners, then that hurts your weekly track. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
you know, if Maverick and one of these others step up and we can bring some outsiders into that and have morph it into something like what the All-Stars was, that would be the perfect scenario.
It is. It's fascinating, the dynamic of it, and I think dynamic is probably the word, because there's so many moving parts and pieces.
Oh yeah.
One thing that is moving very, very fast is a kid by the name of Corey Day.
Yeah.
Brad, I'm telling you, we had a kid named Kyle Larson years ago. We had a kid named Christopher Bell a few years ago. We've had a bunch of these kids come out. But I'm telling you, Ronnie Day's boy seems like he's pretty good.
Oh my gosh, man, can he run the top too? And, you know, he's talked about, you know, a quarter mile or small track expert. He has proven he's more than just that. You know, he definitely still runs the top. And, you know, it's Calvin Knapp, you know, Pappy Knapp, from Pennsylvania, you guys know him, but I thought it was a perfect nickname. It's Corey Payday. You know, we got Young Money, so this is Corey Payday. Whether it sticks or not, I don't know. But to hear Zeb Wise ran second to Corey at the Skagit Dirt Cup, and I don't know what's Zeb, 24 or 5, you know, and he's had. I remember an old timer saying to me one time, the only thing wrong with that boy is he hadn't had enough sheet time. And I said, what's sheet time? Laying in the hospital on the sheets, you start to think about things differently. I mean, Zeb Wise has had some pretty nasty crashes, but to hear him come right out and say that, well, Corey's willing to run the top a little harder than I am. You know, he's not afraid to run it on the wall. And he said, I guess he just ran harder than I did and he deserved to win. I was like, wow, that's coming from a young 20-something-year-old, you know, saying that he's an old timer that, you know, he's tired of hitting his head and getting banged up. So, but Corey, man, he's on the gas and he's very smooth, and obviously having Jason Myers, you know, as a mentor and teaching him and telling him, you know, what to do on and off the racetrack's a huge help.
Brad, it's funny to think we used to, you know, when Steve was retiring and Sammy was slowing down, we're like, oh, what's going to happen to sprint car racing?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's exploded, and we have so much young talent. When you look at, you know, David Gravel's now a veteran, and but you think about all the young talent like Landon Crawley. He's had a wonderful year and shows speed every night.
Right.
But there's so many. There's Pennsylvania. They're out in the West Coast. Just talk about the level of that talent. There's so much young talent in sprint car racing.
Yeah, you know, I think every generation thinks, oh my gosh, what happens when our heroes leave? Is the sport going to collapse? And thankfully it doesn't. You know, somebody else steps up and comes along. And I love seeing these young kids. I mean, nothing against the veterans, but man, I love seeing these young kids come in and as Zeb would say, you know, stand on the gas and bounce it off the wall. I tweeted just again the other day, watching Anthony Macri at Port Royals reminds me of watching Hod in the old days at Eldora, you know. And, you know, Jack Hoddenschild's retired, and here's Anthony Macri that isn't afraid to stand on the gas and bounce it off the wall.
It is crazy. It really is.
Yeah, there's some definitely good young talent out there.
Yeah,
these kids these days. It's
Kids
crazy.
these
It
days.
really is. Really, truly is.
Wild and crazy kids.
Crazy kids, exactly. Crazy kids are fun to watch, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And fun to watch coming up 3 weeks from tonight is the Ohio Logistics Brad Doty Classic. So, Brad, how are things looking for your event coming up at Attica on Tuesday, July 16th?
Really well. Things are going really well. Of course, Ohio Logistics has been with us for 18 years and Racing Optics 18 years, but DAC Pet Products, who was came on board last year, has stepped up to be the presenting sponsor, and Racing Optics stayed with us. They're going to be the presenting sponsor of the Toyota Dash. So all our sponsors are back, and that's very, very important to help this event be viable and keep it growing. So that's good. We still do have, I'm going to put my promoter's hat on here. We still do have some reserve tickets that can go to AtticaRacewayPark.com or theworldofoutlaws.com and find it on the schedule and click on and buy tickets. There are still some reserve seats. They're selling pretty good, I have to admit, but you know, so there are still some available. Pit passes and general admission, it'd be wide open, and you know, like we never quit selling pit passes, put it that way.
Brad, is there a point you're in full-blown promoter mode? Three weeks from now, you're worried about pit passes and sponsors and events.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a point during the running of this event where all of that is finally gone, or are you? It never goes away. When you're driving home, you're worried about what's coming next.
No, not till the checkered flag falls in the main event. Then I relax. Even if it's happened to be a perfect weather day, I just there's so many things to be focused on and concentrate on and make sure, I've done all the things I promised the sponsors. That's number one. Make sure the fans are enjoying themselves. We've set up separate concessions just so the lines are less, and just little things like that. And you want to have a nice, safe night, nobody get hurt. And so, like I said, when the checkered flag falls in the A main, then I relax, and it's time to have a beer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brad, you've had a very successful career. You've done television. You're in the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. What does this race mean to you? I mean, obviously you said you can't relax as a promoter until it's over, but the sentimental value of this race and how it's become such an awesome tradition with the World of Outlaws. What does it mean to you that night when the checkered flag falls?
Well, for one, it's kind of odd to promote a race that's in your name. Talk about self-promotion, but the race was named that long before I became a co-promoter or directly involved in the race. I want to make that clear. But it's to see, and we've talked about this in the past, to see the emotion of some of the drivers who have won this race when they're in victory lane, kind of drove it home to me what it means to some of these guys. Now, obviously, we talk about the young guys. I'm an old timer now, so the young guys, I think some of them get it and realize the importance of this event, how long it's been run, and that kind of thing. But it still keeps me involved in the sport. I enjoy doing it, and it means a lot to me, and I hope it still means a lot to most of the drivers.
I believe it does.
Yes.
That is for sure. And Brad, it means a lot to us that you spent some time with us here today on Wing Nation. Always good to see you. Always good to catch up, and appreciate the time. Wishing you well as we get closer and closer to the big day there, July 16th at Attica. But thanks for the time joining us here on Wing Nation.
Always. Thank you guys. I appreciate the time, and nice talking to you.
There we go. The legend, Brad Doty, the Hall of Famer, joining us on the Sage Fruit Hotline. Stay with us. More Wing Nation in just a moment.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple. Winning quality in every bite.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. Erin, how about that? Seth Bergman followed by a dose of Brad Doty. Man,
It's always a good day when you get a dose of Brad Doty.
Yeah, it really truly is. Really fun stuff. Always great to catch up with Brad and really to catch up with Seth to find out what's going on. This has been some I think I mentioned it. I've wanted to have Seth on here and just to find out what's going on with the 360 Tour. So great time, great show. And great fun, that is for sure. Time to talk about the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame birthday calendar. Later this, we'll know tomorrow. Oh, they're going to be rocking and rolling in Aliquippa. Tim Schaefer has a birthday tomorrow. Kramer Williamson would have a birthday. Lloyd Axel later this week. Roy Richwine, Paul Leffler, Bobby Ward. And today would have been the birthday of Doug Auld, 2017 inductee into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. It's fascinating. I've known Doug for a long time, Erin, but didn't necessarily know his story as much until I started researching it here. 1990s, he moved from New York to Florida and started announcing at a bunch of tracks down there.
Yeah, he did. And I got to meet him obviously a little later in his career, but I've known most of his history. Pretty interesting. In 1990, he was the announcer at East Bay, DeSoto and Sunshine. And then in 1999, he became the assistant director, or editor, I should say, of Open Wheel magazine.
Yeah, in Open Wheel magazine, that's when the stock car open wheel deal a year or two later went kaput.
I loved that magazine, but it was a short run.
It really was for Doug there, but Doug's passion in Sprint Car and Midget magazine took over, and he put that project together and continued on with it and carved out a Hall of Fame career.
Sure did.
And sadly, in October of 2021, We lost Doug at way too early of an age.
Too early,
Yeah,
really.
that was. There are times when Hall of Famers pass, and we're always sad. There are times when Hall of Famers pass where it's like, okay, man, he lived a long life, especially in the rough and tumble world of sprint car racing. Doug passed way too soon.
Way too soon.
Way too soon. But he is forever enshrined in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. One sprint car place in Knoxville, Iowa. I didn't get a chance to hang out there a couple weeks ago, but was able to boogity through the lobby and up into
up into
through
a
there.
suite.
Yeah, I stayed away from all of the all of the sprint car
good job.
stuff. Yeah. So, but you can get involved with the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. You can become a member. $25 makes you a member. It gets you a discount on free admission. Gets you a discount on all of the stuff at their website, sprintcarstuff.com. So, great stuff. The Sprint Car Hall of Fame in Knoxville, Iowa. All right, here we go. We got a busy week coming up, but none busier than the fine folks up in the Keystone State.
Yepper.
Erin,
Bossy time.
Yes, it's Pennsylvania Sprint Speed Week presented by Red Robin Gourmet Burgers and Brews. First and foremost, kids, if you're chasing those sprint cars around Pennsylvania, support the sponsors. You won't get a bad burger or a bad brew at Red Robin. They're great folks, man. Their passion for this thing.
Yes.
It's funny because they came in 8-ish years ago, and it's like, oh, okay. And they're still here, and they're still growing, and they're still doing it. Sprint cars, so as you're bombing around from track to track, make sure you dial in and get the burger and beer, that's for sure. But, Erin, this thing has really exploded into a big event.
It sure has. Overview of it is there's 10 nights. The minimum of all these races, $10,000 to win.
Man, oh, man. There's two big races when it comes to purse. They're all big races. June 29th, that's this coming Saturday at Lincoln, the Kevin Gobrecht Memorial. $25,000 to win. And then next Friday, Williams Grove, the Mitch Smith Memorial, $20,000 to win. Erin, there's a $30,000 point fund via C&D rigging, and that brings the overall person prize money to $353,000 over the course of 10 nights.
That's a lot of money to be won.
That really, truly is. This is going to be an interesting speedway. Jeremy Elliott had his 9 at 90 this morning, and he really brought up a good point. Pennsylvania Speed Week has been fascinating because you never know who's going to invade, how long they're going to invade for. I think we saw during Ohio Speed Week, invading is maybe not nearly as popular as it used to be.
There's a lot of options these days.
A lot of options these days, exactly. But, Erin, when we look at the drivers that are going to run the full, we're not going to.
You don't need a lot of invaders when you've got the list that they have.
No, full-time drivers that, and I'm just scratching the surface here because I know there's a bunch of others. Anthony Macri, Danny Dietrich, Freddie Raymer, Troy Wagaman, Lucas Wolf, and many, many others. To me, this gets fascinating, Erin, when you look at guys that are going to come in and out and bounce in and out, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're going to see Jacob Allen, Brent Marks, Lance DeWeese, Logan Wagner, and more that bounce
Justin
in and
Peck
out.
probably jump in and out a little bit.
If there's a rain out elsewhere, who knows?
Right. It's going to be fascinating to watch. It really, truly is. And it kicks off this week, Friday night at Williams Grove, Saturday at Lincoln, Sunday at Baps, back to Lincoln on Monday. And we'll get into next week's schedule next week here on the program. Kubota High Limits. We don't have to wait long for racing. Tomorrow night, Erin, Lake Ozark, $20,000 to win. Friday and Saturday, Lucas Oil Speedway. Saturday paying $25,000 to win. And the World of Outlaws are busy as well.
They are. They're Friday, Saturday night at Cedar Lake.
And then the World of Outlaws take a 2-week break.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird?
It is a little bit. Especially,
really strange.
July.
Yep. I mean,
like
everyone
it,
does.
though.
I think
like
everyone does. I think the two national tours.
Yeah.
And then the Pennsylvania.
And someone's going to.
Someone's going to come.
Someone's going to get some invaders.
Someone's going to get some invaders, that's for sure. There is, I was looking at the list, there is weekly racing everywhere. Really, truly is. So I want to end Christopher Bell, a little NASCAR talk, okay? Christopher Bell on Sunday afternoon at New Hampshire when they bolted those wet weather tires on. And I heard, I was listening to the morning drive. Jordan Bianchi is a great reporter. Mm-hmm. He reports for The Athletic, and he was co-hosting with our Mike Bagley on the morning drive. And he said, when Christopher Bell went to the top, it looked like Michael Schumacher at such and such a place in the wet. I had no idea what he was talking about. I know of Michael Schumacher, obviously.
Yeah.
And that. No, Jordan, with all due respect, it was Jacket Eldora is what it looked like. Christopher went from like 13th to 3rd down in turns 1 and 2.
Wild.
It was insane what he did. And see Bell just took it to the house. And so I got such a kick out of it when Jordan said Michael, I'm like, oh, okay.
I've got a different analogy.
I've got a different analogy, and I know the people on Wing Nation will understand mine.
Yeah.
That is for sure. The wild child on the boards at Eldora. Sounds good. Good times, that's for sure. Kudos to Christopher Bell on that win up at New Hampshire. And speaking of Eldora, I'm going up there in a few weeks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going up. I have to see. I'm going Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for sure. Thursday's the 100,000 high limit race, and then Friday, and then the King's Royal. May get up there in time Wednesday. Just have to see. We've got some. We move into that Olympic break.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're recording some shows early, and I may end up doing a little recording on Wednesday morning, which may prohibit me from getting up there. But it's all
Either
great.
way, you're getting there.
Either way, I'm getting there. That is for sure. Great stuff. Hey, great stuff as well with Seth Bergman and Brad Doty. We appreciate both of those gentlemen joining us on the Sage Fruit Hotline. She's Erin Evernham. I'm Steve Post. Thanks for joining us this time here on Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit.